The Galactic Council chamber was a temple of light and power. Its dome stretched across the sky of Veros Prime, glowing with rivers of silver energy. Thousands of alien delegates filled the curved tiers of seats, their eyes, mandibles, and tendrils all turned toward the center podium. Today was supposed to be a day of victory. On the central dais, High Scholar Draxon of the Alari raised his long arms. His voice echoed through the hall, carried to every corner of the galaxy by the Council's endless broadcast network. Honored delegates, citizens of the stars, today we erase the last of the old lies. For too long, fools whispered about a phantom race. The so-called humans. They said these creatures once walked a death world called Earth, that they were fierce, unyielding, impossible to conquer, that they fought with fire in their hearts and warships that shook the heavens. He paused for dramatic effect. His golden robes shimmered under the dome lights. But where are they now? He asked, voice dripping with contempt. Nowhere. Ashes, bones in the dirt. Humanity was never real. It was only a legend and old story to frighten hatchlings. And today, we put this myth to rest forever. The chamber erupted in laughter. Deep, booming laughs from the armored Carrick warlords. Clicking, chittering squeals from the insectoid Zyre. Even the luminous Velen pulsed with mocking light. Billions across the galaxy joined the amusement, filling the broadcast waves with echoes of scorn. But not everyone laughed. In the shadows near the rear of the chamber, an old being rose. His name was Archivist Thalos, his body frail, his skin lined with silver cracks. He leaned on a cane of black crystal, but when he spoke, his voice cut through the laughter like a blade. Fools, he said. You think humanity a myth because you made them one. You erased their name. You burned their archives. You turned truth into a bedtime tale. The laughter faltered. A few delegates hissed in protest. Thalos continued, eyes blazing with conviction. But I have seen the fragments. Records hidden in vaults you tried to bury. They called humanity Deathworlders. They fought wars none of you would survive. And if they rise again, silence. The speaker thundered, slamming his clawed hand on the podium. We will not entertain the ramblings of a broken old mind. Humanity is dead. Their world is dead. Our probes have shown it. Only storms and ruins remain. The chamber roared again, half mocking the archivist, half trying to drown out their own unease. But Thalos only whispered to his young apprentice beside him, do not laugh. Do not forget. Silence is not death. Sometimes silence is waiting. At the very edge of the Sol system, a lone probe drifted through darkness. It was old, its metal scarred by centuries of radiation and cosmic storms. It had been sent to watch Earth, the dead world, to prove again and again that humanity was gone. Its scanners swept across the pale blue sphere. The planet looked quiet. Ruined cities covered in forests, oceans boiling with storms. No signals. No life. Then something moved. Not a small asteroid. Not a drifting shipwreck. Something vast, deep beneath the oceans. The probe's sensors screamed with warnings. Energy readings spiked far beyond anything in Council records. For one final instant, its cameras caught a blurred shadow rising from the sea. Massive, curved, unmistakably artificial. Then the feed went black. The broadcast cut into the Council chamber. The static image of the shadow appeared across the enormous central screen. Billions across the galaxy saw it at once. At first, there was silence. Then came nervous whispers. A Zyre delegate clicked its mandibles. It is a trick. A mountain, perhaps? Nothing more. A Valari envoy pulsed with dim, anxious light. Mountains do not move. The High Scholar tried to laugh again, but the sound was brittle, hollow. A malfunction. Nothing more. Do not be deceived by shadows. But the old archivist's voice rose again, shaking with fury. It begins. The heart of Earth beats once more. You mocked them. You erased them. And now they rise. Across the galaxy, strange signs appeared. On the mining moon of Ilios, ancient carvings began to glow with blue fire. On the water world of Moralos, vast currents shifted unnaturally, forming circles too perfect to be natural. On the desert of Karun, hidden machines hummed beneath the sands. Ordinary citizens stared at the signs and whispered the forbidden word. Humanity, the speaker, desperate to regain control, raised his arms. Enough. We will not bow to shadows. We will send a fleet to Earth at once. We will crush this lie, and the galaxy will see that humanity is nothing. The chamber cheered, though the cheers were hollow, forced. Admiral Valok, a towering reptilian with crimson scales, stepped forward and bowed. "Give me the fleet," he said, his voice a growl. "I will burn their ruins to ash. I will return with proof that humanity is nothing but dust." The speaker's eyes gleamed with fear and pride. So it shall be. The feed switched to the Council's war fleet, preparing for departure. Dozens of massive carriers and cruisers floated above the capital world, engines glowing with red light. Their hulls gleamed like polished knives, banners of conquest fluttering on their screens. Admiral Valok stood on his bridge, teeth bared in a cruel grin. "Myths and shadows cannot stand against us. By the time I return, Earth will be silent forever." His fleet roared into hyperspace, vanishing in streaks of light. But far away, in the depths of Earth's oceans, the ancient shadow continued to rise. Water boiled around it, and a low hum echoed across the void. Steady and relentless dash boom, boom, the heartbeat of humanity. The Council's fleet tore through hyperspace, streaks of light bending around their ships. At the front, Admiral Valok stood on the bridge of his flagship, the Iron Fang. His crimson scales shimmered under the glow of the consoles, his fangs bared in a cruel smile. "Soon," he growled, "the myth will be ash. The galaxy will see that humanity was nothing more than a story told to weak minds." Behind him, his officers exchanged nervous glances. They remembered the shadow from the probe. They remembered the voice that whispered across the stars. But none dared speak against their commander as the fleet neared the Sol system. The stars bent and snapped back into place. Before them, Earth appeared, small, blue, scarred by storms that swirled like hungry beasts. "Behold," Valok sneered, pointing his claw at the planet. "A dead rock, wrapped in clouds. This is your myth. This is humanity." The bridge crew forced themselves to laugh, but the sound was hollow. Their scanners were already whispering warnings. "Admiral," said the sensor officer, his voice thin, "the planet. It's shielded." Valok snapped his head around. "Impossible. A dead world cannot project shields," but the display confirmed it. A shimmering lattice of blue energy covered Earth like a second atmosphere. Every attempt to scan the surface failed. Probes burned to dust as soon as they touched the shield. The Council fleet shifted. Nervously, one captain's voice came across, the comms shaky. "Admiral, if the humans truly survived, silence." Valok roared. "We will prove this is nothing but abandoned technology. Launch the drones." Hundreds of sleek drones broke away from the fleet, plunging toward Earth's surface. The Council chamber, still watching the live broadcast, leaned forward. Billions of citizens across the galaxy held their breath as the first images came through. At first, the drones saw only ruin. Broken cities, skyscrapers swallowed by vines, oceans raging under black storms, craters carved into the crust from wars long past. The speaker smirked in relief. "See? Dust and rubble. The myth is nothing." But then one drone slipped into a canyon. Its lights cut through darkness, revealing walls carved with strange symbols. Human words, glowing faintly blue, as if the stone itself remembered. Admiral whispered the science officer, "This canyon is artificial. It's a door." On the Council's central screen, the canyon walls began to tremble. The ground split open. A door the size of a continent cracked apart, glowing veins spreading across its surface. "What? What is that?" gasped a delegate. Before anyone could answer, the drone's feed filled with static. One last frame appeared, a dark curve of metal, massive, rising from the depths, then dashed blackness. In the council chamber, silence fell. No one laughed now. The Valari envoy's crystalline body pulsed with faint, frightened light. This is no ruin. This is a hangar. They are waking something. The old archivist rose again, his cane shaking. Yes, humanity built ships. Ships larger than cities. They hid them beneath the seas of Earth. They knew this day would come. The speaker's face twitched. Lies, he shouted. Ancient wreckage, nothing more. Veloc will burn it clean. But the speaker's voice cracked. Even he no longer believed his own words. In orbit, the alien fleet adjusted. Carriers moved into position, weapons charging. Drones circled the planet, scanning desperately. Then the ocean exploded. A geyser of water miles high tore into the sky. From beneath the waves, a colossal shadow rose. At first, it looked like an island. Then it lifted higher. Water cascading from its sides like waterfalls. It was a ship, a warship so large it blotted out the clouds. Black steel, scarred and ancient, but alive with glowing blue lines of energy. Its engines hummed, deep and steady. Echoing like a heartbeat, boom, 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 dot. The alien fleets froze. On the bridge of the Iron Fang, officers screamed. Admiral, the ship is powering up. Energy levels off the charts. Veloc's smile cracked, but he forced his voice to remain steady. It is one ship, one relic. Destroy it. Across the fleet, weapons roared to life. Plasma bolts, nuclear torpedoes, and particle beams lit up the void, crashing against the black hull of the human dreadnought. For a moment, the galaxy saw only fire. When the light cleared, the human warship still floated, untouched. Its glowing shields shimmered like a calm ocean after a storm. Not a single scar, a council admiral whispered. What? What are they made of? The council's citizens watched in disbelief. Their greatest fleets, their most powerful weapons, had done nothing. Then the human warship answered. A voice rang out across the galaxy. Not from the ship's speakers, but through every channel, every device, every mind. Deep, steady, impossible to ignore. You call us legend. You call us myth, but legends rise. Myths endure. Humanity endures. The council chamber erupted in chaos. Some delegates screamed. Others begged for peace. Soldiers shifted nervously, hands trembling on their weapons. The archivist bowed his head, whispering, "The first warship has awakened." On the council screens, the human dreadnought's weapons began to glow with pure blue fire. The energy built, brighter, hotter, swirling like a newborn star. On the Iron Fang, Veloc's voice broke. Impossible. They should be dust. The cannon lit the void, aiming straight at the heart. Of the council fleet, the heartbeat thundered. Louder. Boom, boom, dot, boom, dot. The galaxy braced for the first human strike. And then the feed cut to black. The void burned with silence. Alien. Fleets floated around Earth, their weapons cooling. Their commanders whispering in disbelief. They had unleashed everything: plasma storms, torpedoes, particle beams, and still, the colossal human warship stood untouched. Its armor was jagged and black, scarred from battles fought before the council had even been born. Blue veins of energy pulsed along its hull, alive, like blood flowing through a metal titan. Every time the energy swelled, sound came again. Boom, 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 a heartbeat. A rhythm that reached through vacuum, through signal, through the very souls of those who listened. On the bridge of the council flagship Iron Fang, Admiral Veloc's claws dug into the railing. His voice was a growl filled with denial. It's impossible, he spat. No shield can endure that. No ship can survive such fire. But his officers stared at him with wide eyes, their scales pale. One finally whispered, "Admiral, what if the myth was true?" Then the human warship moved. Panels along its sides peeled open, revealing cannons unlike anything the galaxy had ever seen. The barrels glowed with a light so pure, so deadly. It looked like stars had been trapped inside. Alarms screamed across the alien fleet. Ships scrambled to reposition. Captains shouted orders, their voices shaking. "Scatter." One cried. "Form defensive grid," yelled another. But it was too late. The human warship pulsed once more. The heartbeat quickened. The blue glow became blinding, and then the first shot fired. A lance of light erupted from the dreadnought, cutting through space like a blade of pure energy. 3 Council cruisers, their shields blazing red, tried to hold. The beam pierced them as if they were paper. One heartbeat later, they exploded, torn apart in silence. Fragments scattered into the void. The galaxy gasped. On distant worlds, citizens cried out. On Moralos, the water-dwellers wailed, their voices trembling. On Karun, warriors dropped their blades, staring upward as if the beam could pierce across the galaxy. On the Council homeworld, billions of citizens watched in horror, their trust in their leaders crumbling with every second of the broadcast in the Council chamber itself. The speaker's face turned pale. He slammed his claws against the podium, but his voice shook. This is a trick. They cannot defeat us so easily." But no one laughed anymore. No one mocked. The myth had become reality, and reality was worse than any tale. The screens flickered. The image shifted, and then the galaxy saw him. The human commander stood tall inside the dreadnought's bridge. His black armor gleamed with blue fire. His face was scarred, his jaw set. His eyes glowing with an inhuman light. Behind him stood human officers, men and women of Earth. Their expressions calm and unshaken, the commander spoke. "You erased our name. You mocked our dead. You called us a legend. But humanity remembers. Humanity endures." The words echoed across every channel, into every home, every mind. Billions felt it, the weight, the certainty, the fury controlled by iron discipline. On the bridge of the Iron Fang, Veloc roared, "All ships charge again. Overload the cannons. I don't care if it burns the core's fire." The alien fleet obeyed. Thousands of weapons lit up, filling the void with rivers of fire. Plasma storms, red beams, missiles, everything they had. The human dreadnought did not dodge. It simply advanced. The fire washed over its shields, bending around it like water around stone. The blue glow pulsed brighter with each hit, feeding on the energy, growing stronger. The alien crews froze. Their weapons were not damaging the humans. They were feeding them. On the Council world, panic spread through the streets. Citizens screamed, pointing at the skies, fearing the humans would destroy their world next. But in the Council chamber, the old archivist stood tall, his voice rising above the chaos. "Do you not see? They do not strike blindly. They do not waste their power. Humanity fights with purpose. They strike to teach. To remind you, they are showing you mercy. And that is the true terror." The Valarian voice's crystalline body glowed faintly. "If this is mercy, what is war?" Then, in the blackness of space, more shadows began to move. Behind the first dreadnought, new shapes emerged. Smaller, but no less deadly. Sleek destroyers, cruisers, and carriers, all forged from the same dark steel, their engines glowing blue, dozens of them. Then hundreds. The Council fleets began to crumble, retreating in panic. Their formations broke, their captains screaming across coms. "This is no single relic," one cried. "This is an army." The galaxy's blood ran cold. The human commander raised his hand. This is only the beginning. The dreadnought's cannons glowed again. The fleet behind him moved into flawless formation, engines blazing like 1,000 suns. On the Iron Fang, Admiral Veloc's eyes widened as the human fleet spread across the void. Surrounding them like predators, the heartbeat thundered faster. Boom, boom, boom. The screen zoomed on the commander's scarred face. His lips parted. Lesson 1. Mercy is not weakness. The cannons ignited. The void filled with blinding blue light, and then the broadcast cut to static. The galaxy was drowning in silence. The Council broadcast had cut to static just as the human dreadnought's cannons fired. Billions across countless worlds stared at black screens, their hearts hammering, waiting to see what remained of the alien fleet. Then the feed returned. The view was chaos. Broken holes drifted in orbit above Earth, glowing with fire and spilling debris into the void. Council warships, once proud, now burned as lifeless wrecks. Their mighty shields had shattered like glass against a single human strike. Yet the dreadnought still floated untouched, its hull glowing with blue fire. And around it, new shadows moved. At first they looked like fragments of rock, drifting silently behind the moon. But as the light shifted, their true form became clear. Ships, dozens of them. Black, jagged, alive with the same glowing blue veins. Engines pulsed like a heartbeat, one after another, till the void itself seemed to echo with the rhythm of war. Boom, 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 the humans were not one ship. They were a fleet. The Galactic Council chamber dissolved into chaos. Delegates screamed, shouted, and hissed at one another. The speaker slammed his claws on the podium. Silence. Silence. But the voices did not stop. The insectoid Zyre shrieked in panic. The crystalline Valari pulsed with terrified light. The gas beings of Tal bubbled in despair. Admiral Tack roared of the Carrack roared above the noise. We must strike now. Gather every ship, every weapon. Burn Earth before the infection spreads. The Valari envoy's voice rang out like broken glass. You saw what they did. They spared Valok's fleet when they could have ended it. That was not mercy. That was warning. The old archivist rose once more, his cane trembling in his hand. Do you not see? The humans built fleets not for survival alone. They built them to remind you. They hid in silence while you laughed, while you enslaved, while you ruled. Now they return, and your empire will crumble. On the broken flagship Iron Fang, Admiral Valok stared at the screens in disbelief. His officers whispered of retreat, their scales pale, their eyes wide with fear. They spared us, one said. They destroyed the others, but they left us alive. Why? Valok's claws dug into the railing. His pride boiled into rage. Because they mock us. They want us alive so we can crawl back to the Council in shame. They think us weak. He turned, his eyes blazing. I will not be their trophy. I will destroy them or die trying. But even as he roared, deep inside, Valok felt the truth. Humanity had not spared them out of weakness. Humanity had spared them because they no longer mattered. Across the galaxy, strange events continued. On the mining world of Corrales, ancient structure long thought to be a ruin lit up with blue fire. Symbols no alien could read burned into the sky. On Moralos, the ocean dwellers sang in fear as vast machines stirred beneath the waves, sending ripples across the planet's seas. On distant outposts, silent satellites powered on, broadcasting the same signal, a steady heartbeat. Boom, boom, boom. The myth was no longer a story. It was a storm sweeping across the galaxy. The broadcast shifted once more. The human commander appeared again, standing on the dreadnought's bridge. His scarred face filled the screen, his glowing eyes cold and unyielding. You thought us gone? You thought us broken. But we endured. For centuries we watched. We listened. And now we rise. Behind him, officers moved with perfect discipline. Their armor glowed faintly, their eyes sharp, their faces carved from steel. The commander's voice lowered, but the weight of his words struck harder than any cannon. Your council will answer. For its crimes, the human fleet began to move. One by one, the ships fell into formation around the dreadnought. Their engines roared with blue fire, casting long shadows across the stars. Alien captains screamed across coms, trying to rally their forces. But fear had already broken them. Ships scattered, retreating in panic. Some fired wildly, their beams vanishing against human shields. Others fled into hyperspace, abandoning the council to its fate. From the depths of Earth's oceans, more hangars opened. Massive silhouettes rose from the waters, each ship larger than the last. The planet itself seemed alive, giving birth to a fleet that had waited centuries in silence. The Valari envoy whispered, "This is not a fleet. This is a resurrection." The council chamber screens zoomed out, showing the full horror, not dozens. Not hundreds, thousands. A sea of human warships filled the void above Earth, stretching farther than the eye could see. Carriers, destroyers. Dreadnoughts, an entire armada awakening from the depths of the blue planet. The human commander raised his hand. "We are coming," he said. "To your council world." The fleet's engines roared, glowing brighter and brighter. Space itself trembled, and then the human armada vanished into hyperspace. The speaker fell back into his seat, trembling. The chamber was filled with silence, broken only by the archivist's whisper. "They are already on their way." The council world had never known night this dark. Stars were gone, swallowed by shadows. Every tower, every spire, every glowing street lamp was cast under the vast black silhouettes now circling the planet. The human fleet had arrived from the surface. Citizens lifted their eyes to the heavens and froze. Where once there had been constellations, now there were only jagged shapes, colossal warships, bristling with glowing cannons, their engines pulsing with the steady rhythm of that terrible heartbeat. Boom, boom, boom. The sound echoed through the council's global broadcast, drilling into every mind. Mothers clutched their children. Soldiers gripped their weapons, but did not raise them. Merchants abandoned their stalls, staring upward in stunned silence. The galaxy was watching, and then the screens flickered, the feed steadied. For the first time in thousands of years, the galaxy saw a human face. He stood tall on the command bridge of the lead dreadnought. Armor black as midnight, lined with glowing blue veins of light. His face was scarred yet proud. His eyes burned with unnatural brilliance, like twin suns. Billions of aliens gasped at once. The myth was no longer a shadow. It was flesh and blood, the man spoke. "We are humanity. You called us a legend. You erased our name from your histories. You mocked our dead, turned our suffering into stories for your children. But we did not die. We endured. We built. We rose." The words rolled like thunder across every world. Behind the commander, ranks of human officers stood in silence. Men and women, their faces sharp, their eyes glowing faintly blue. They were not ghosts. They were alive. Real. The commander lifted his hand. "For centuries we hid in silence watching. You burned our skies. You enslaved our children. You thought we were gone, but Earth still beats. Humanity still breathes. And now," he paused. His lips curled into the faintest smile. "Now we speak." On the council world, the chamber erupted into madness. The speaker's voice shook as he screamed for calm. "Lies, illusions. Do not believe them." But his words were drowned out by the delegates shouting at one another. Some screamed for war, others begged for peace. Still others sat in silence, their eyes wide with awe. The old archivist rose once again, his cane glowing faintly with the reflection of the screens. His voice was soft, but the chamber fell quiet to hear him. "This is no illusion. This is the truth. The myths you mocked are flesh. The legends you erased are here. The Deathworlders have returned." On the surface, fear turned into something else. For centuries, the Council's citizens had been taught that humanity was only a joke. But now, as the human commander's words echoed across their world, something strange stirred. Hope in the shadowed streets, voices rose. At first whispers, then chants. Humanity, humanity, humanity. The chant spread like fire. Billions of voices united, shouting the name once forbidden. The council's guards raised their weapons to silence the crowd, but many dropped their rifles. Joining the chant instead, the speaker's eyes widened in horror. He was losing control, not to the humans above, but to his own people. On the shattered bridge of the Iron Fang, Admiral Veloc raged. Traitors. He roared at the council delegates overcomes. Do not kneel to these ghosts. They are monsters. They will devour us all. But his voice was drowned out by the images filling the screens. Endless human warships forming a cage around the council world. Their engines blazing blue fire, their cannons glowing with lethal promise. Even his fellow admirals looked away. Unwilling to echo his defiance, for the first time in his life, Veloc realized the truth. His words carried no power. Humanity's silence had been louder than all his roars. The human commander stepped closer to the camera. The scars on his face were visible now. It's carved deep by wars older than the council itself. We are not here to conquer your cities. We are not here to take your worlds. We are here to remind you. We are the balance. We are the guardians of the stars. And we are the sword that falls when you forget mercy. His voice grew sharper, colder. Your fleet's enslaved. Your council ruled with fear. You laughed at our name, but now you will answer. Humanity has returned. The commander raised his hand. The entire human fleet shifted in unison. Engines glowing brighter. We spared your ships once, he said, his voice like stone. But mercy is not endless. We come now. To your council world, on the planet below, the skies glowed brighter. Lit by the thousands of human warships hanging above in the council chamber, the speaker's voice cracked as he whispered, if they strike. We are finished. The heartbeat grew. Louder, boom, boom, boom. The human fleet vanished into hyperspace, leaving only silence and terror in their wake. The council world shook with fear. The night sky was not dark anymore, it was broken. Citizens craned their necks to see the impossible. Thousands of human warships blotting out the stars. Dreadnoughts like floating mountains. Carriers larger than cities. Sleek destroyers sliding in perfect formation. Engines pulsed with that terrifying sound, boom, dot, boom, dot, boom. Every heartbeat seemed to echo through the streets in the council chamber. Delegates screamed over one another. The great amphitheater, once a place of order, now looked like a den of frightened animals. Mandibles clattered. Feathers shook loose. Crystalline bodies dimmed with fear. The supreme speaker slammed the podium. Order. The council will not break. We face myths, not gods. But his words rang hollow. The galaxy had seen the truth. Archivist Thalos, the frail elder who had spoken of forbidden records, stood again. His cane trembled, but his voice was strong. You blind yourselves, he said. You saw the dreadnought. You saw the fleet. Humanity has awakened. You cannot erase them again. They are Deathworlders born in storms, forged in war. They do not die. They endure. His words echoed across the chamber. For the first time, many delegates did not laugh. They listened. The Volari envoy pulsed with nervous light. If they have truly returned, if the fleets we see are real, their crystalline body trembled. Then no empire can stand against them. On the Iron Fang, Admiral Veloc staggered across his ruined bridge. Smoke poured from shattered consoles. Officers lay injured, and the stars outside burned with the glow of human warships. His voice crackled through the council feed. Do not trust them. Do not kneel. They are monsters, killers from a cursed world. If we let them rise, they will burn the galaxy. He pounded his fist on the command rail, but no one answered. Even his own crew avoided his eyes. They had seen the truth with him. The humans had spared them, not out of weakness, but out of contempt, and that humiliation burned deeper than his wounds. On the surface of the council world, something unexpected began. At first there was only silence. Citizens stood in streets and squares, eyes fixed on the glowing sky. Then a voice rose. A single, trembling voice. Humanity. Another joined. Then another. Soon, the streets thundered with chants. Humanity. 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 The sound rolled like a wave, shaking towers, echoing through valleys. Soldiers tried to silence the voices, but many of them dropped their weapons, joining in. For the first time in centuries, the Council's control cracked. The speaker stared at the screens in horror. No, they are choosing them over us. Across the galaxy, more signs appeared. On the desert world of Karun, an ancient satellite reactivated, projecting blue symbols into the sky. On the mining stations of Vera, buried fighters powered on by themselves, engines glowing with unnatural fire. Everywhere, fragments of humanity awoke. Scientists screamed over their instruments. These are not ruins. These are networks, an entire system waiting for activation. The old archivist nodded grimly. The humans seeded the stars with their memory. With their weapons, with their will. They were never gone. They were waiting. The screen shifted again. The human commander appeared once more, his scarred face filling the chamber. His glowing eyes burned like cold fire. Behind him, the bridge of the dreadnought pulsed with blue light. Officers stood silent and unmoving, their faces carved with iron resolve. You mock us. You call us legend. But every whisper, every lie, every chain forged by your council, we have seen them all. We have not forgotten. We are not myths. We are not gone. The commander leaned forward, his voice deep and steady. We are humanity, and we are here. The speaker tried to regain control. We will gather every fleet in the galaxy. We will crush them before they spread. But the Valari envoy's voice cut through, sharp and trembling. Crush them? You saw what one ship did. Your fleets will burn like dry grass. You will doom us all. Admiral Kor slammed his clawed fist. Then let them come. Better to die with honor than kneel to myths reborn. But whispers spread through the chamber. Not of war, not of fear, of rebellion. Delegates from oppressed worlds whispered among themselves. If humanity is real, maybe we do not need the Council at all. In orbit, the human fleet shifted. Engines flared, cannons hummed with gathering power. The commander raised his hand. Council of Tyrants, your fleets are broken. Your people no longer fear you. You have one chance left. The camera zoomed close on his scarred face. His lips curled into a faint, cold smile. We spared your world, but we do not come to beg. We come to decide. The chamber fell silent. Billions across the galaxy leaned closer to their screens. Suddenly, alarms blared inside the council chamber. Hyperspace breach, cried a technician. The screens filled with light. Above the council world, more rifts opened in space. Human dreadnoughts poured through dozens. Then hundreds until the planet was encircled in steel and fire. The speaker collapsed into his chair. His claws trembling, the archivist whispered, "This is not their fleet. This is only their shadow." The human commander raised his hand again. Behind him, the colossal warships aligned, weapons glowing brighter than suns. "Prepare yourselves," he said. "The lesson begins." The feed trembled. The light swelled and then dashed blackness. The night sky above the council world had turned into fire from every direction. Human warships poured out of hyperspace-leak destroyers, towering carriers and dreadnoughts the size of mountains. Their engines glowed with the same eerie blue light as the veins on their hulls, pulsing in rhythm with that impossible sound. Boom, boom, boom. The heartbeat of humanity thundered across the galaxy, heard on every channel, felt in every chest in the council chamber. The delegates were frozen. They were no longer rulers of the stars. They were prey caught in the jaws of predators they had believed extinct. The Valari envoy whispered, their crystalline body trembling with light, This is not a fleet. This is a storm." Admiral Takor of the Karok slammed his claws on the table. "We must fight. Summon every fleet in the sector. Load the planetary cannons. Humanity must bleed." But others shook their heads. The insectoid Zaire delegate clattered his mandibles. "We cannot win. Their weapons cut through our shields. Their ships drink our fire as if it feeds them." The speaker forced his voice to rise, though it cracked with fear. "We are the council. If we kneel, Everything we've built crumbles. We fight, or we are nothing. The chamber split in two, half screaming for war, half begging for surrender. And across the galaxy, citizens watched their leaders fall apart. On the broken flagship Iron Fang, Admiral Veloc dragged himself to the command rail. His armor was scorched, his body bleeding, but his eyes still blazed with rage. "Do you see?" he snarled into the coms. "They play with us. They could have ended me, ended all of us, but they let us live. They humiliate us. If we are to fall, then let us fall with fire in our claws, prepare to ram." His crew hesitated, eyes wide with fear. "You heard me?" Veloc roared. "We will show them the Council does not kneel." The Iron Fang lurched forward, engines screaming, hurtling toward the nearest human destroyer like a spear. Inside the human dreadnought, the scarred commander watched silently. The Council's surviving fleet scattered, many trying to flee, some desperately charging forward in suicidal defiance. He did not flinch. He did not blink. His eyes glowed like frozen stars. "Hold formation," he said calmly. The human fleet did not move. They watched the Iron Fang accelerate toward them, its hull burning, its admiral screaming for vengeance. At the last moment, the commander raised his hand. The dreadnought pulsed. Boom. A wave of invisible energy spread outward. The Iron Fang's engines flickered and died. The massive ship froze mid-flight, locked in place by unseen chains. On the bridge, Veloc staggered. "No, no, what have you done?" The human commander's voice echoed across every channel. "We decide who fights. We decide who falls." The Council fleet tried to rally, but the humans moved. Blue beams of light cut across the void, slicing through alien battleships like blades. Carriers crumbled, their hulls split apart in silence. Fighters swarmed, but human interceptors, sleek, black, glowing with blue fire, tore through them with ruthless precision. The Council's mighty war machine, built over centuries of conquest, collapsed in minutes. Their greatest admirals screamed in desperation. Ships vanished in explosions, one after another, their debris scattering like sparks. But the humans did not strike the planet below. Not a single city was touched. Their fury was aimed only at the fleets, the Council's pride, their power, their symbol of control. The message was clear. Humanity did not want their world. Humanity wanted their throne. On distant colonies, enslaved species stared at the broadcasts with wide eyes. They saw the Council's fleets die. They saw humans, once myths, wield power greater than anything in memory. On Moralos, the ocean dwellers began to sing, their voices carrying the word humanity. On Karun, warriors dropped their weapons, declaring, "Better to follow Deathworlders than cowards." On Vera, miners lit fires in the darkness, chanting humanity's name. The galaxy's heart was shifting. The feed returned to the human dreadnought. The commander's scarred face loomed, his voice calm but heavy with iron. "For too long, you have ruled with fear. You enslaved, you silenced, you mocked. You thought humanity gone? But we are here. We endured. We rose. And now, we judge." His eyes burned brighter, glowing blue like stars ready to collapse. "You have one chance. Kneel or fall." The human fleet shifted again, their cannons glowing brighter than before. The lead dreadnought's massive weapon unfolded, its core spinning with blue fire. On the Council world below, alarms wailed. The skies blazed like dawn. In the chamber, the Supreme Speaker stood, his claws trembling, his voice breaking. "If they fire, everything is lost." The screen zoomed close on the human commander's face. His lips moved slowly, each word sharp as a blade. "This is the battle of legends." The void lit up in blue fire and then blackness. The skies above the Council world burned blue. The human fleet had encircled the planet like a crown of fire. Thousands of ships, each a weapon of ancient war, each a shadow of a story the galaxy thought forgotten. And at the center of them all, the colossal dreadnought pulsed with that dreadful rhythm. Boom, boom, boom. Citizens across the planet dropped to their knees. shielding their faces from the blinding glow that turned night into day. The council chamber quaked with every pulse, its walls trembling as if the very world feared what was about to come. Then, the giant cannon on the dreadnought's spine flared. A sphere of blue energy swirled at its core, brighter than any star. The galaxy's heartbeat grew louder, faster, unbearable. The Supreme Speaker collapsed against the podium, his voice cracking. If they fire, we are finished. Billions of viewers leaned toward their screens. Would this be the end? Would humanity erase the Council's world in one strike? Inside the dreadnought, the scarred human commander stood unmoving, his eyes glowing with cold fire. Behind him, rows of officers waited in silence, their faces sharp and unshaken. The commander's voice cut through the galaxy like steel. We are humanity. We do not strike blindly. We do not waste our power. We endure, so others may endure. He raised his hand. The cannon hummed louder, swallowing the void in blue fire. On the Iron Fang, Admiral Velox screamed, "They will destroy us all." But the archivist in the council chamber shook his head, whispering, "No. Watch carefully. This is not destruction. This is revelation." The cannon fired. A beam of pure blue light tore across the sky, so bright it blinded every sensor, every screen. Delegates screamed, certain their world was gone. Citizens clutched their children, waiting for death. But the beam never touched the planet. Instead, it struck the Council's orbital defense ring, a shield system built over centuries, thought indestructible. In a single instant, the ring shattered. Towers of metal crumbled. Shields dissolved into sparks. The proud barrier that had protected the Council world for millennia was gone. The humans had not destroyed the planet. They had stripped its rulers of their power. On the ground, the people understood. They had lived under the Council's rule for centuries. Chained by fear, crushed by taxes, silenced by soldiers. But now, their leaders had no shield, no protection. The Council was naked before the galaxy, and the people rose. Crowds surged into the streets, chanting the forbidden name. Humanity. 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 The chant spread like wildfire, carried by billions of voices. Entire cities shook with the sound. Council guards tried to hold the lines, but many threw down their weapons. Joining the chant above them, the humans watched in silence. The broadcast shifted back to the commander. He stepped closer to the camera, his scarred face filling the galaxy's screens. His voice was calm, but heavy with ancient sorrow. We did not fall to your weapons. We chose silence. We hid in the depths of our world, waiting. For centuries, we prepared. You called us myth, but you were only deaf to the heartbeat of Earth. He raised his hand. Behind him, the officers' eyes glowed, their armor lit with blue fire. We are the children of the Deathworld. We are the shield against the darkness beyond the stars. And when tyrants rise, we are the storm that ends them. The galaxy trembled. In the chamber, the speaker screamed in fury. Do not believe them. They are demons. They come to enslave us all. But his words were drowned by the sound of the people outside. Billions chanting humanity's name. The Valari envoy rose, glowing brighter than ever before. No, they spared us when they could have destroyed us. They are not conquerors. They are judges. The archivist's voice boomed. The myth said it would be so. Humanity rises, not to enslave, but to remind you, punish. Too free, delegates turned against one another. Some drew weapons inside the chamber itself. The Council was falling apart, live on every screen in the galaxy and distant worlds. Rebellion ignited. On the slave colonies of Zyra, chains were broken as the people rose, chanting humanity's name. On Morala's ocean, whalers raised their voices in a song not heard in centuries, a song of hope. On Karun, warriors once loyal to the Council lifted banners of defiance, swearing to fight alongside the Deathworlders. The galaxy was shifting. The myth was now a cause. The commander's voice came one last time. We are not here for conquest. We are here for truth, for balance, for justice. The galaxy has a choice. Kneel to fear, or rise with humanity. His eyes burned brighter, cold and merciless. But know this: humanity does not kneel. Humanity does not yield. Humanity endures. The camera zoomed out. The entire human armada filled the screen, stretching farther than any viewer could see. The dreadnought's cannon still glowed, humming like a caged sun, but it did not fire. Instead, the fleet shifted, aligning in perfect formation. And then, in the distance, another signal appeared. Not human. Something older, darker. Watching, the commander's gaze flicked sideways, as if he felt it too. For the first time, his jaw tightened, not in anger, but in grim recognition. The feed cut to black. Only the heartbeat remained. Boom, boom, boom.